Hey y'all, this is Cam. I just wanted to pop back on because my sister had ended up calling me after I ended my last live, and I didn't realize that the last part of it just went silent. Like there was no volume in there. I thought it was just her, but I actually went and replayed it for myself. So I feel like that was the devil trying to be busy because the last thing that I said was something that was very important, I believe. So I decided just to come back and restate what I said. What I was summarizing was that we as federal employees, most of us that have been in around the same time, we have this different type of work ethic when it comes to longevity and stability and consistency, right? Versus the younger kids, they're more adapt to make a change. Okay, you're not paying me enough money, I quit. I don't like the way you talked about me. Talk to me. I'm going to find me another job. I'm done. Versus we put a different value in stability and longevity, right? So being at a job for 25 plus years, it has value and it means something a little different to us, right? My parting words are, although you have been with your agencies, with your jobs for a prolonged period of time, or even if you haven't been there for a prolonged period of time, like I said, continue to trust God in everything. It doesn't matter who's up there in the White House. It doesn't, because I don't worship whoever is up there. I continue to worship God, and God is in control of everything. And I believe that. Your belief is yours, but that's my belief. But you are more than just your job. Just because this is happening and you possibly may lose your job, you're more than just your job. So let's find a way to be proactive. And when I say proactive, I always, when my back is up against the wall, or I know that a challenge is headed my way, I always come up with, I don't know why everybody want to call when I'm on my live, but I always come up with an emergency evacuation plan. So come up with a backup plan. Call it an emergency backup plan. Call it, what is it? Hush, Golden. Call it a break the glass in case of emergency. Whatever you want to call it. Whatever little thing, Cam likes little things. Call it whatever you want to call it, right? But make a plan. So if this thing goes the way it does and you're one of those people that ends up being impacted, have a plan. Take control of your situation. I'm gonna call her back. Yeah, take control over your situation. Come up with a plan based on the facts and the resources that you have and what you want your end to be, and come up with a plan. Don't sit and wait for things to happen. Take control of the situation as much as you possibly can. And I'm speaking in regard to federal workers, but I'm going to say this extends to anyone that's going through something similar to this in your work profession. You are more than just your position, your job title. You're more than that. You're more than that. And we all are very talented and resilient people. And there's things that I'm sure we all dream to do or wanted to do. And for whatever reason, life just, sent us in a different path. And so, boom, here we are. I stated in my earlier live that me working for the IRS, it was a job. It was literally a job that turned into a career, because when I had Tanisha and I was a young mother, I needed consistency. So I needed a 7 to 3:30 job Monday through Friday. You know what I'm saying? And so it was able to give me what I needed to make my home life work, versus I didn't see myself working in a warehouse or anything like that. And there's nothing against anybody that does that, because everybody does what they feel like they want to do or need to do, but that just wasn't my ministry. So it actually worked for me. But I am more than just the position that I hold for the federal government. You know, I said that since Steve passed away, I have actually been put into the shoes of some of the situations that I've had to deal with my employees. I'm a compassionate manager. I am a caring manager. I'm going to do the right thing type of manager. So I've always handled those situations the way they needed to be handled. Although we sometimes have a lot of power and control, and some people get caught up on this power thing, I've never been that. My ego doesn't need that. So I am very considerate and compassionate when I'm dealing with people, because these are real life things. And if I come off extra cocky just because I need to feed my ego, that could be the thing that could break that person. And I'm very mindful of that, right? So I don't, I handle things different. And so, now that I've had to deal with certain things, I've not been dealt with in the way that I have represented my agency. And that bothers me. There are other things that I want to do in life. Like, this is not the end of my story. Some of the things I had shared with Steve, and he was like, well, Kamisha, I think you should do it. Just like when I opened my juicing business during COVID. He was encouraging me of that. I've never had an entrepreneurial spirit. Never. But with the encouragement of a lot of y'all and the support of my husband, I have a very lucrative juicing business. I never saw that in my future, but clearly God saw it because he allowed me to do it, and I did it very well. And I still, I don't juice like I used to for obvious reasons, but I still, and people will call me and ask me, like, they're juicing and they're asking me something. I don't mind sharing the knowledge that I have, right? So I do that. But since Steve has passed away, I know that I want to affect change. So that's my thing, affecting change and to helping people. And that's why I'm starting my foundation. I've literally started my foundation, the Care About Me Foundation, CAM, C-A-M, because me is a metaphor for whomever. Me could be anybody. And so that's my way of giving back. But when I started thinking about this, of course, Steve was the forefront of that thought, right? So he was the thing that gave it life for me, right? But I was always thinking I'll continue to work my government job and I'll kind of just blend in my foundation to do it on my free time. That's what I was thinking about. But now, since all of this stuff has been going on, that's impacting federal employees, like, maybe God has something different in store for me. And you know what? I'm not afraid to explore exactly what that is. Not being a federal employee and not being at the agency that I'm at, that doesn't end my story. That doesn't end my story. I am more than just my position. I am more than just the career that I have. That is something that I do to sustain my lifestyle, but I am more than that. And so it doesn't end if I'm no longer working this job. I just have to come back, rethink, and come up with a plan. The whole thing is, you never want to get caught with your pants down, like your granny say. You don't want to get caught with your pants down. So you want to have a plan that if and when it happens, you go ahead and just execute your plan, and you never skip a beat, and you make sure that everything is covered. Make sure, if that means putting yourself on a budget, put yourself on a budget, right? Make sure that you have the money to pay your essential bills that you need. If you're able to reduce or eliminate some unnecessary bills, do it. You know what I'm saying? Truly take a look at your financial standing. Investment accounts, stocks, bonds, whatever you have. Look at that. The best thing that I did since Steve passed away, I got me a financial planner. I actually have an investment banker. Those are the best things that I could have done. It educated me so much in regard to financial literacy. And I consider myself a very educated person, and I'm knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. But for him to sit down and put it on paper and then to show me, and he basically made it make sense, I have a better understanding of things. And I've been able to make decisions that would cause my investments to grow so that I'll be okay no matter what. Is it scary? Yes, it's scary what's going on in the world right now. And like I said earlier, I had not thought about leaving my job until I had planned on leaving to retire. But now things are happening, and literally every other day I see that execs are retiring, like literally. So it's kind of like a clean house method. It's probably either they had to go or lose their job, or they probably just took the option like most regular employees did, because everybody got the same. Execs and stuff weren't exempt. Everybody got the same voluntold options. Pick one, and then we have the reduction in workforce, and we'll just see how things, play out. Like literally, we're playing chess. Literally, we're playing chess. But no matter what it is, I am going to win for me. I'm going to win for me. And that if I retire before my time, I retired before my time. But that doesn't mean that I'm not fulfilled. It's just I've been very comfortable in my space, since Steve passed. And I've been comfortable because I'm able to just kind of tread water and float on until other things settle. And now this has me where I have to pivot and I got to do something different. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. But guess what? I'm not going to sit here and wait for something to happen to me. So I just got to make sure that if things don't go the way that I pray them to be, that I'll be ready. But then also if they don't, however they go, I know ultimately it's a part of God's plan. And I know that God loves Cam Golden, and God is not going to give me any more than I can bear. And God is going to see me through, right? But God gives us the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding to make decisions. So I'm not just sitting here waiting for something to just drop out the sky. I'm not waiting for somebody to put an imaginary weighted blanket over me to make me feel safe. No, I'm maneuvering and doing the things that I need to do to make myself feel safe, to make me feel warm, to make me feel whole, to make me understand that, you know what, you're going to be good no matter what. So my words to not just my federal colleagues, but to anybody, you are more than your job. You're more than your career. Who is it to say that you can't do something else? What is that thing that you had wanted to do and you've talked yourself out of it for whatever reason to not do it? You know what I'm saying? I know for us, at my agency, like if we even did like outside employment, you have to get permission or approval for that. When I started my juicing business, I had to notify them and get approval for that, right? But what is it that you want to do? What is your passion thing? Maybe God is allowing you to see that, you know what? You've been good doing this, but now I want to lead you in another direction. You got to be open to receive that. Is it going to be scary? Yes, it's going to be scary. But again, if you do everything that you're supposed to do, you'll be okay. I always talk about you got to solidify your foundation. Right now, somebody got a jackhammer just digging away at the integrity of our foundation. I see it. They've told me it's there. Am I going to just say, I'm going to pray for the best? Yes. But also, I'm going to take actions and movements to make sure that I'm good. Because ain't nobody going to take care of me and love me the way that I do. The one that did, my husband's in heaven, right? My parents don't raise me. They don't did their job. So I have to find a way to sustain on my own. So let's make a commitment to one another to come up with the emergency plan, to come up with the break the glass plan. Let's come up with an evacuation plan and just have it in place just in case you need it. And if things go a certain way and you need it, at least you didn't just throw something in a bag and like, boop, I'm going to call that evacuation plan. No, you putting effort and thought into it, and you have a plan, and you already know how you're going to transition in and how you're going to move forward with your plan. You got to believe in you. You're the best advocate for yourself. And all my friends know that I support them in everything that they do. Everything. I am their biggest cheerleader in everything. And I support them. We support one another. But let's come up with our emergency evacuation plan. Take some of that power and that fear back. You owe it to you. Let's not be stressed about what's going on that we have no control over. Let's acknowledge it because it's there. Okay, I see you. And let's continue to focus what's most important, which is us. Let's take some of that power and control that we unintentionally gave away. Let's take that back and understand that to not work for the federal agency, that ain't the end of the world. It's a lot of things that you can do. There is a plethora of things out here in this world that you can do, that you actually have the skill and the talent for, whether you know it or not. And you can do your own thing. You could be your own boss. Like, who knows? Who knows? But allow yourself the possibility, allow yourself the possibility to dream, and don't be afraid. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna take a chance on you like you will. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely a trying time, but you got to take control of your life. You know, hey, John, and I've been in this space. Like last week was just like, cause I'm in management too. So like last week was just like, oh my God, like I just had this pressure on me, and it wasn't just solely about me. It was just about, because my employees, even though I'm on this detail, like they're still reaching out to me, right? I understand. I know what their fears are. I know what their concerns are. They've always been able to be transparent with me, and I want it that way, right? I want to be able to try to comfort them. But I also identified everybody is afraid. And I'm like, what are they really afraid of? Other than the obvious, okay? Which, your money, your benefits. You know what I'm saying? But everybody has to take their information, because everybody's information is different. And you just got to self-analyze. You know what I'm saying? If you know you've been there 20 years or more, you know that you're over 50. Well, you already know if there's a reduction in workforce, you have the option to early retire. I mean, people talk about, but if I retired at 57 and a half versus 60, Social Security and da-da-da-da. People talk about all of that stuff. Look at the facts. And now I'm going to go off on something else. But look at the facts. Because the reality is this. My husband worked all of his life from the age of 17 to the age of 64. He never drew one dime from his Social Security. He would have been eligible to draw his Social Security last year when he turned 65, right? Steve died. If I was disabled, I'm 53, but because I'm over 50, I could have pulled Steve's Social Security from this time until I become of retirement age. Then when I become of retirement age, I start to draw my own Social Security. But I ain't drained Steve's. He's not empty. He been working since 1977. It's 2024. It was 2023 when he died. So, yeah, I'm not getting not even half of that. Add on to it, my first husband, we was married over 10 years. Guess what? I'm entitled to his Social Security too. But guess what? I could either take mine, take Steve, or take his. He died in 2016. Steve continued to work and live until 2023. I plan to continue to work and live as long as I can. So mine is always going to grow and exceed theirs. Me and Steve might be a little different only because it was a 13-year age difference between us. But you see what I'm saying? So in theory, you won't even get to pull any of that. You know what I'm saying? And then now for me, I am considered a single person because to death do us part, right? My 401k, I can designate a beneficiary for that. Great. My pension, I don't have a spouse that would get survivor benefits. So if I die tomorrow, my money goes back to, I call it the pension pot. So my money goes back into the pension pot, which ultimately goes to the United States Treasury. And they use it for whatever they use it for. It don't go to my kids or nothing. I'm an unmarried person. So, knowing all of those facts, I use that in determining how I'm going to move and maneuver and what makes sense for me. What makes sense for me. So, knowing all of those things, like, I'm 53. I'm not old. I can keep my benefits if I retire early. To be honest, that's probably the most, that's probably the biggest thing for me is to keep my benefits. But then on the other side, my husband was a retired man from the Navy. I got TRICARE for life. You got to weigh it out. Everybody's situation is different. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying find your silver lining. Everybody is just focused on like the sticker shock. You know, ooh, did you see that? Ooh, this is happening. Calm yourself down. Gather yourself. Sit down and figure you out. Sometimes we don't want to deal with the financial stuff or the reality things or the things that makes you realize and focus on the immortality of us. But you got to sit down and you got to deal with it because we, just like we was all born, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. So you got to figure it out. But look at your situation and know what it is that you need, what you can live with, what you can't live with. What is it that you've always wanted to do? What is that thing that you actually do it now, but you don't even really get paid for it? It's just like you consider it a hobby. You could probably turn that into a business venture. Like, you got to really think outside the box. Like for me, like I said, I plan on just riding this thing till the wheels fall off, literally. Like, if I'm the last one standing in my department, I'm okay with it. As long as it ain't bringing me no stress, because when things become stressful, I have to let them go, right? So if that's what, I want to do, then I'm going to do that. But if it's something else, hey, LaShania, those things that I want to do, things I've aspired to do, yeah, this is my time to think about doing that. Like I said, I had just thought about doing my foundation on a part-time basis, but the work and the outreach that I want my foundation to do, it is very easy that can be a full-time thing, right? And so not just solely about making money, but allowing myself to put back into my community, to find something to sustain me, to find something that I feel like is going to make my husband and my ancestors, smile down on heaven at me. You know what I'm saying? That thing that is going to continue to build and solidify my legacy with my children and my future grandchildren. So I'm in the right mind most days. I'm working on me, but I can, I can do and be anything that I want to be. And everybody needs to have that thought, and just reevaluate what you know, what the facts are, and come up with a plan that you know will work best for you. It's so many things out there that you can do. You just have to prioritize yourself. So this is like, to all of I started out with, federal employees, but literally you don't have to be a federal employee to be feeling the way that we're feeling now, because there's a lot of private companies that are probably doing the same thing. So find a way to take back the control, because a lot of that stuff be mental. Take away the control. Make sure that you're okay. You know what I'm saying? I always say life me when Steve died. I'd be damned if I'm finna sit here and let something else life me and I actually see it coming. I'm going to prepare myself as best as I can. I'm going to put on my armor and I'm going to prepare myself for this war or this attack, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm going to prepare myself. And I suggest that everyone does that. And, I talk about my mental health all the time. You got to have things in your toolkit to help you get through life. I was already dealing with everything with Steve dying. I have civil stuff. I have criminal stuff that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with that. Then I have just my regular stuff that we all deal with every day. And then, I have this stuff that happened with work. And so that just added on to what I already had. If I was not in therapy, if I was not seeing a psychiatrist, if I was not addressing my mental health, I would have crashed and burned by now. I have my good days and I have my bad days. However, I have things in my toolbox that I've acquired through my therapy to help me through. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. I've added yoga, and yoga does help. I have been intentional about me. I'm doing things that I wouldn't normally do because I'm trying to figure out who I am without Steve. And it's kind of like recreating myself or being reborn again. So music was Steve and I's love language. And that's something I'll never let that part go. But there's so many things out there, and I've had interest in a lot of things, and I don't know why I never did them. But when I'm planning and putting things on my calendar, there's things that I'm doing that I had never done before. Last year I was buying, if I did concert tickets, I was buying 2. Never knew who my plus one was going to be, but I had friends and family that have went with me. But I've had some friends to go with me, and it's like, Steve and I, it wasn't about the genre of music, it was about the music. So that bass guitar, whether it's Southern soul, it's R&B, it's jazz, that dang on bass guitar. You know what I'm saying? That saxophone. So it's not about the genre. But I had a friend had went with me to see, I think it was Jeffrey Osborne. And, I'm vibing in the music. And not like they went to sleep or nothing like that on me. But I just didn't feel like they had the same appreciation like I did. You know what I'm saying? I'm like down there like the 4th row from the front, because that's how I feel about Jeffrey Osborne. And so this year, for like this spring and summer, a lot of the tickets that I bought for concerts and activities, I bought one because I've never been afraid to go places and do things by myself. I came in this world by myself. I'm going to leave this world by myself. My preference had always been to share in these adventures with my husband, but now he's not here. And I don't want to go somewhere and then I got to worry about you being Debbie Downer or who, whatever the case may be, or just kind of overshadowing this place that I'm in. So yeah, I bought tickets for one, and I'm going by myself, and who knows who I may meet along my journey, because I have that personality where I never meet a stranger. I'm always just, meeting people and talking to people, you know what I'm saying? And everything ain't even got to be like, we're going to talk later. No, like it could just be in that moment that we're entertaining one another and laughing and vibing and having a good time or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I am, stepping out, doing something different, and if I like it, great. If I don't like it, at least I could just say that I tried it. But again, these are things that are imprinting on the person that I'm becoming, because I'm different. I'll never be the Kamisha that I was before November 23rd. I am literally recreating myself, and I have no idea what that looks like, but I mean, it could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing that keeps me in a box. There's nothing to say, well, if you want to be the Cam you was before Steve died, you do this. I already know I'll never be her. I'll never be her again. There's parts of her that are forever with me, but I'll never be her, because so much has happened in my life that has changed the very fabric of me. So I'll never be her again, but that's not a bad thing. My only sad thing is that I'm in this phase because my husband was killed. Yeah. But I still have to continue to live. I have to continue to live for me. I have to continue to live for my children. I have to continue to live because guess what? My husband would have wanted me to continue to live. All of this while still making sure that the reason behind whatever happened that morning and why people made the decisions that they made that caused my husband to be killed, that those are brought out, and that everybody who played a role or had a liability role is held accountable for that, for making sure that the person that actually was charged with vehicular homicide in the death of my husband is held fully accountable to the fullest extent of the law. I'm going to tell y'all something. I feel very passionate about that. Like, literally, I've told everybody, like, I don't care what is going on. And even with this stuff going on at work, like, I don't care what is going on. I will be at every hearing, front and center. And one of the first hearings that they'll end up having, the solicitor had already told me, like, the way that they schedule it, he was like, Ms. Golden, it would literally be like, we'll get this information maybe like 2-3 in the morning, that we got to be at the courthouse at like 8 or 9 o'clock. And I told him, I said, don't worry about it. I live about 3 miles from the courthouse. I'm going to be there no matter what. Put my cell phone number in that file. Text me in the middle of the night if you need to, because when I get up to go pee in the middle of the night, I always will look at my phone. And I've actually, because Tanisha's out of the country for work, I typically don't even put my phone on silent anymore. So if something happens because she's in a different time zone or she needs me, I hear the phone and I pick it up, right? But I keep in contact with, because the criminal stuff is separate from my civil. And so I have representation for my civil, the criminal, that's the state. But they keep me abreast so that I can be there for all of these things, and I'll get a chance to do my victim impact statement. Well, there have been a concern about the person that's being charged. See, he stopped. The person that's being charged, he wasn't where he was supposed to be. The address that he gave, he wasn't there. And so I will say I like the fact that people do work together to get things done. And so they work together and they share information. And of course, my attorney shares information with me. He sent the information to me and I was just like, okay. I was like, okay. Early on when Steve died, I would have been very irrational. Not irrational anymore. I'm able to sit back and allow the judicial system to do what it's supposed to do. That definitely is a direct reflection of my therapy and the work that I've done. And like my therapist always tells me, you know, Kamisha, I'm a tool that you have, but you're doing the work. I'm not doing the work. When that information hit my email and my response was just like, okay. And see, that's another thing. I already got this stuff going on with Steve dying and, you know, how I feel. And then I got this stuff going on with work that has, you know, fell on me. And in the middle of that chaos last week, that's when I found out about the criminal stuff. That's when I found out that the grand jury will come back with an indictment and we'll be in court next month. You see how my life was already? And then that's what I'm saying. Like, this is personal for me. This is business for everybody else. So nobody's like, hey, Miss Golden, you know what? Is it a good time? You know, are you good? Is it a good time? You know, because we don't want to send you over the edge again. Nobody asked me that. They just call and give me the information. And then I just have to deal with it. That's where my therapy comes in at. Keeps me grounded, keeps me centered, keeps me rational, keeps me sane. And I'm thankful for all of that. I'm thankful. So everything that has happened to me that was meant to destroy me or to tear me down, I'm a child of God, and God continues to guide me through it all. I am not perfect at all, never proclaim to be. I just try to deal with things the best way that I can. And I always know what it is that I have to lose based on the actions that I decide to make. And also I think about, what's the point? Is it going to change anything? No. So I just do the best that I can. I prepare myself and I always pray for the best. So that is all I got. Just don't let your job or your position define you. Come up with an emergency evacuation plan. So if life and there's nothing you can do about it, although you're going to feel a certain type of way, you can dust yourself off. Take the dirt off your shoulder and just move on to that thing that you dreamed that you would do. Just do it. Maybe that's the purpose. Y'all have an amazing Saturday.